Can you hear me now?
Yep, that's perfect.
Do I have to talk like this?
No, you don't have to lean in that hard.
Oh, okay.
My mic is doing that thing again where it like kind of goes away.
Maybe you
from
should
me.
put the pillow there.
Oh, so it can't go?
So like, yeah.
It stays right there.
Yeah.
Look at you.
You know, fixer upper.
Little podcaster.
I feel great because look at that. I can move my arm.
Amazing. What healed it? You?
PT, I think.
Okay.
What healed it, I think, is PT. In the combination of when PT was happening, I was releasing emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, whatever I'm holding on to,
Yeah.
I'm releasing. Whatever I'm holding on to, I'm releasing. Like,
Yeah.
I think, like we talked about, we hold, like our body keeps score.
Yeah.
Somebody had mentioned on TikTok, on one of the things is like, you should read the book Body Keeps Score. And I was like, I own it.
Yeah.
Like, it's on my list.
It's on.
It's
I'm
on
already
my list
on
to
it.
read it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. I love that people are participating to say like, yeah, I'm on that. Like, we're on the same page.
Yeah, we're finding the people.
Yeah.
You're finding your people.
Yeah. People are finding, so
That's awesome.
it's all working the way it's meant to work. So, yeah. How are you?
I'm great. I'm in the middle of a 96-hour water fast right now, so I'm going to try to not be crabby, but...
I just asked, I was like, are you a crabby faster?
So the first 48 I did just water. This morning I started drinking protein, so I just drink egg whites.
Sure.
It's just protein because I'm not trying to lose weight necessarily. I'm just trying. I think it's healthy to fast.
Yeah.
For something like this, like once or twice a year. They say it like fasting can like get rid of like cancerous cells.
Yeah.
So if there's like cancerous cells and you starve them, your body like starts eating them. And I was just like, it sounds cool.
Yeah.
And I'm such an extremist. I'm either like fasting or eating like super, super healthy, or I'm like pulling into like McDonald's or like
Gross.
Popeyes. Okay, McDonald's is kind of gross, but have you ever had Popeyes chicken?
I have never.
Oh my gosh, it is so good.
No.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I'm not a
So,
fast food person.
Yeah,
I'd rather eat a bar from like tree bark
Yeah.
than when I was pregnant, I went to a gas station, was with a friend, and we were shopping. I'm like, I got to eat something.
Yeah.
Right. Because it was like, I think our kids were in gymnastics and we just went shopping and we're coming back to gymnastics. And I was like, oh, okay. So I come out and she's like, you have a bottle of water and a protein bar. I was like,
That's not
yeah.
gas
And she's
station.
like, not even a candy bar. You have a protein bar. I was like, I'm eating for two. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to eat like crap. Number
Yeah,
one,
but you don't
I
eat like
pretty
crap
healthy.
even when you're
Yeah.
not pregnant.
Like, I'm not going to make
Yeah.
it like, I didn't have those cravings except ice cream. I wanted Dairy Queen when I was pregnant with Dawson. I was like, Dairy Queen is only open 15 more minutes. Like, you can run there, you can get there, I promise.
Not
you
even
can make
like
it.
good, because you have a really nice ice cream shop right in Afton.
Yeah, but at the time, wasn't living in
wasn't there.
Afton when I was
Okay.
pregnant with Dawson. It was a strawberry banana shake.
Oh yeah.
So it was still healthy, had some fruit in
Yeah.
it. It wasn't
Okay.
like,
Well, kinda.
but,
Yeah.
could have been worse.
Have you ever been to Pump House? It's
never heard
it's
of
like by Lake Nokomis. It's an ice cream parlor that's like all local ingredients and everything. It's like really intentionally made and stuff.
Oh.
So it's not like, I wouldn't say it's like healthy, but it's better for you.
Better ingredients.
It's better ingredients.
Papa John's.
Yeah.
Nobody's
Sponsor
paying
us.
for any
Yeah,
advertising.
what if you got sponsored by Papa John's? You've like never eaten in your life. Yeah, what if we just go into an ad? If you're hungry on a Friday night, you can get Papa John's for $2.99.
We know the jingles, right? It's like
Yeah.
we.
I don't know the one for
jingles.
Papa John's. Or
Better
maybe-
pizza, better something.
I know,
Papa
but I don't know the
Pizza.
actual tone of it. I
Oh.
know the tagline.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know if there's a tone to it.
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe whatever.
Whatever.
Anyway,
We've been talking about love because that's the name of the podcast, Love Bravely.
yeah.
And so obviously we talk about a lot of different topics of love, how to be a great communicator in a loving relationship, how to, and today we're talking about how to love those who hurt us. What do you know about that?
Well, I know that I've been hurt by people,
Yeah.
and I've also know that I've hurt people.
Yeah.
So what I've learned is when we get hurt, when I get hurt, I can talk about me, right? I can't talk about everybody else, but when I get hurt, in the past, I would shut down. Well, let me go back. Number one, I had the attitude of, you can't hurt me.
Yeah.
I had a chip on my shoulder. I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me.
Well, you were
I
tough.
was
'Cause
tough.
maybe you had to be.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up having a really tough exterior because I was guarded. I didn't trust a lot of people. I had an edge to me, and it worked. I mean, in some ways that works really great. But when it came to relationships, I just wouldn't let people in. And you don't even know that you're not letting people in, right? You just don't know it because it's just your nature. It's become a part of who you are. And but deep down inside, you know you want to be loved and you want to love people, right? Because our body knows that.
We're here for connection.
We're here for connection. Yeah. And so when I got hurt, I would just shove it in, hold it in, and I would be like, you can't hurt me. You don't hurt me. And so I've learned over time that people can hurt me. Yeah. And, you know, some say like, people can only hurt you if you allow them to hurt you. And there is truth in that. Like, and I think where that truth comes in is, what they mean by that is, if you say something or do something to hurt me, it won't hurt as much as if I can relate to why you did what you did. And then there's that forgiveness in it, right? Yeah. Then I don't hold it against you. I try to understand it, which sounds really weird that if I'm getting hurt by you, I'm trying to understand why you hurt me.
Well, I mean, it's you can either just go, you hurt me, you're out of my life, I hate you, you're wrong, or you can go, I mean, the harder thing is to go, I wonder why that person hurt me. And it just, I mean, I think it just has to do with approaching life with curiosity. Yeah. And not taking things so personal. Yeah. Yeah.
And how do you continue to love somebody who hurt you? Is you forgive them. You don't forget what they did. And if they would choose to do it again, you don't stay in a situation where it's a continuum, because they say, what, the first time is it's a mistake, the second time it's a choice. Yeah. So know your placement in either a relationship or a friendship or a family member, whatever it is. Like, don't stay in something that you continually, that person continues to make as a pattern. Yeah. And you continue to accept it.
Totally.
That's not the love, like that's not the hurt we're talking about. That's not the love we're talking about here. We're talking about, how do you really choose to stay with somebody if they choose to like recognize their hurt and they're apologizing and they're asking for forgiveness, or they're really intentional on doing better. That's what we're talking about.
Well, I think one question is like, how do you know when to rebuild trust and connection or when to just walk away? And I guess like it'd be different for if it's a family member, if it's a romantic partner, I think it'd be different for different people. Yeah. But in general, do you have like a general,
I think,
like way to measure that?
For me, I think it's time to walk away when you keep feeling the same negative feelings over and over again with this particular person, or it's a constant conversation that you have to have, or it's a constant feeling that you have when you're with them. Like when you're with somebody, tune in to see how you feel. And if you're having the same arguments, if you're having the same disagreements, then you realize like, we're not, like we're not even aligned here. We're not even on the same page here.
Yeah, but I think most people go, well, how many times is too many? 5, 10? And I think you just have to listen to your intuition and go, you get to answer that.
You do.
Yeah, like, and trust yourself more.
It's up to you. And one of my therapists said, in a certain situation, he said, well, how much can you take? And I said, I can take a lot. I know I can take a lot. And he's like, well, he's like, I can't tell you when to make a decision. Yeah. He said, that's up to you and how much you can take and how much you're willing to put up with.
If we're talking about building trust and connection, don't forget about trust and connection with yourself. At what point do you stop trusting yourself because you continue to make these mistakes?
Yeah. And
the decisions.
Yeah. And why that would go back to that place of what in me am I not dealing with that I'm allowing this person to hurt me?
Yeah. Why would I put myself
through suffering?
Yeah.
So that would go back inside and say, What are the patterns that I'm keep choosing the same situations, people, family? And I understand like family's different, right? You go to family gatherings, they're your siblings, they're your aunts and uncles, they're your parents, whatever it is. And there's room for conversation in that. But if that person hurt you and you let them know and they recognized, I'm really sorry. Like if they're in a good space to say, I hear you. I recognize that I could have done better. I recognize that what I did was hurtful to you. I want to do better. I want to be more mindful of what I'm doing when I'm with you. Because I think a lot of people don't even realize that they're hurting people, you know?
And then from there, you just have to look at their actions.
Right.
You know, beyond their words.
Yes. And if you can have a conversation with a person and not a confrontation, but a conversation, I think there's two differences. If I can look at you and say, wow, Steve, you really hurt me. And you say, no, I didn't. No, and give me 1,000 reasons why. Well, that's not going to help me.
Right. That's not going to solve the situation.
And that's not going to solve a situation. That's me looking at you saying, I'm talking to a wall all the time.
And you're going, I'm letting you know. I'm giving you a cheat code.
Yeah.
Like I'm giving you a look into my brain where a lot of people don't even know how to express when someone's hurting them. They just maybe pull away or they.
Yeah. And I think that's when you know the answer, right? Which is sometimes really hard if you love somebody or if it's a family member or it's a friend that you've had for a long time. That's when you know where you're at with them and you know if they're sincere.
Yeah.
And when you can continually love somebody through it. If they're not sincere, if they don't even see you, I think that's when you okay, I'm going to let go of this because if I continue this way, I know that I'm not being seen and heard. And I'm just probably going to find more suffering in it than joy and happiness in it.
Yeah. And I think we have intuition for a reason. It's like we can know when someone's sincere or not. We might play like, oh no, maybe they are. I think deep down we know.
Well, our body knows, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Where the aches and pains come in.
Yeah. Like our body knows if we're not getting our needs met or like if our heart's not feeling love. Yeah. Right.
Do you know isn't there like something around like if you're feeling shame, you feel it in somewhere in your body, or if you're feeling guilt, you feel something. Do you know any of that?
I know that like our organs have different like fears and hips and, feeling pressure or holding the world. It's like on your shoulders. Like, like that's why we say like, oh, like the world's on my I feel like I'm holding the world up on my shoulders, or you're a pain in my neck. Yeah. And then you get a pain in your neck. Like we really have to watch what we're saying because they have correlations to these things in the body. The body can hear us. Yeah. The body knows the body. And I think, I don't know if it's Joe Dispenza, but it's like, you don't have to, your body doesn't have to literally experience it. Yeah. Like if you think it doesn't know if the difference is you're really experiencing it really or not. Yes. Because the mind is so powerful.
Yes. Which is wild.
Yeah. It's
and that
crazy.
goes for the pain we feel, but also for the experiences we want to have. Yeah. Talking about visualization, like if you visualize something and you're truly in the present, disconnected from like the 3D world. Yeah. Your brain doesn't know the difference between if you actually experience that or if you thought of it. And then if you're just thinking of it, that's why you say your thoughts create your reality. I want to go back. You said that was talking about trust and connection. How do you know when to move forward in trust and connection with a person? But how did you move from, you said you grew up with kind of a hard exterior in your childhood. You didn't really trust a lot of people. How did you move from that to like who you are now, where you don't just like allow trust and connection to come, you actually seek it out? That's a very different person from maybe who you were when you were younger, how you grew up.
Yeah. I learned to be intentional in life. I don't think I may have been, I don't know. But today I look at life very different. I look at today, I probably wasn't as grateful every day when I woke up, and I wasn't really thinking about things intentionally. I was just kind of like, I'm waking up every day and whatever attitude I have and whatever happens, happens. And there's a freedom in that. But and I'm not saying that, because we talked about going through the flow of life too. And I'm not saying that going through the flow of life, you can't be intentional. You still have intention. And the intention if something's not flowing well, it's the intention is to understand it and see it and go, what's not working well?
Right.
It's not to judge it. It's not to control it. It's to maybe make a different decision.
Yeah.
But you're allowing that to show up for you and you're not working against it. You're not getting angry towards it. That's what I mean in the flow. Today, I'm intentional about what I want in my life. I'm intentional because I know the patterns that have showed up in my life by my choice. I'm responsible for myself.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for what comes out of my mouth. I'm responsible for how I treat somebody. I'm just more aware of who I am and how I show up in the world.
Yeah.
When you become more intentional, I think your list of friends shrinks.
Yes, it does.
I don't even think it just does, because I don't need a lot of people around me to validate who I am as a person. The smaller my group of people are, the more intimate my conversations are with them.
Yeah.
The more value we give to each other. If you have a plethora of friends, to me, in my opinion, you don't really get that deep connection with your friends. If it's family, if it's whatever.
Yeah.
For me, I like depth. It's just who I am. I'm curious. I'm curious about people. I'm curious about life. I want to know why people are the way that they are. I want to know their background. Like, where can we relate? That's just part of who I am today.
Yeah.
I don't think I lived from that lens when I was younger. I was more in a situation that was presenting itself in my life, and I was young. I mean, my parents were,
Yeah.
I was an adult.
It's easier to stay on a less deep level when you're like, if you're just going wide. If you have this large group of friends, there's less. I mean, it's like if you have a party at your house and there's 100 people, you're just floating around, you're keeping the chip bowl full, you're serving drinks. But if there's 5 of you and you can just sit and look each other in the eye, like, that's beautiful. And there's nothing wrong with you. I actually think there's times where it's fun to have like just a load of friends around. But I'm the same. I crave like the depth. I crave the connection. I'm really bad at small talk. I don't know how to do it. I suck at it, actually.
Yeah. I don't really enjoy it, to be honest with you. It's repetitive.
Yeah. It's,
it really
I was going to say, it's like you just say the same
me.
thing over and it feels really inauthentic. And I actually appreciate people who can do small talk well, where they can go in and they can float around, they can talk to a lot of people and find new things to talk about. Like, that's a skill, that's a gift too.
Yeah. I just, I don't know. Did I answer the question that you were asking?
So.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess that would lead us to like boundaries. How do you set boundaries in love? When you love, especially, family member, anyone, it's like, how do you go like, I love you and I care about you, but I need space. I don't know.
You get to know yourself really well. If you don't know yourself, you don't know what you need. And you just allow people to treat you however they are going to treat you.
Yeah.
And you accept it. When you have intention and you know yourself and you know what you need, those were that's a hard no for me. That's when you learn to set a boundary, because you know what you'll put up with and what you won't put up with and what's working for you and what doesn't work for you.
Right.
If you don't know that, you're probably not going to set a boundary.
Yeah.
And if you're a people pleaser,
it again comes back to you.
Not going to set a boundary because you're too busy trying to please everybody or trying to be this thing for everybody. Bring it back to you. Why am I choosing to do that? Why? Like, look at your group of friends. Are they people you can count on? Are they people that you can have great conversations with and depth conversations? Do they have your back no matter if you talk to them for a week or not? Like, I have friends in my life that I still have since high school.
Yeah. You just went to Montana with them.
I did.
Is that the group?
Wyoming? We went to Jackson
Wyoming.
Hole.
Yeah.
That's the same group. And one of them I've known since 7th grade. The other one I've known since 10th grade. And we know things about each other. We actually Marco Polo every day with each other.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having so many friends that I don't get to connect to like that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And we all know our boundaries.
Yeah. How good too is like a friendship that long?
Yeah.
Like,
it's amazing.
I'm getting ready to play a reunion show with my band that broke up 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because even though we weren't super close this whole 10 years, we have been the last 3 years, we've all gotten really close again. And that's why we're playing a show. But it's like, even though when we were not close, it's like those people know things about me that e- some of my closest friends today wouldn't know, just because
Yeah.
we lived so much life together playing music.
Well, if
And
you're touring
it's,
or traveling,
yeah,
you're in
you're
that intimate
living in a
space,
van.
right? And you know, like probably way too much,
Yeah.
right? But
It's
so much
so good though.
that you're interconnected, and you can't, once you're interconnected like that, I don't think you can lose that connection. Doesn't
Mhm.
matter. They always say like the best of friends are the ones that you don't talk to for a long time, but when you get
Yeah.
together, it's like you never had any space between
Yeah.
you. That's how my friends are.
Yeah. Well, there was a couple years after the band where we didn't talk for a few years just because, I
Sure.
mean, the tension of, the band breaking up and disappointment, whatever it
Yeah.
was.
Mhm.
But it's like, it's so beautiful to have friends like that.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
And your friends, when you have friends like that, they know your boundaries. They
Yeah.
know who you are. They don't have to second guess it. So if they do something, you feel so comfortable with them to say, "Hey," I mean, I can look at one of my friends and be like, "I don't need you to tell me in this moment. I'm not looking for an answer. I just want to talk to you, and
Mhm.
I don't need you. I just need you to listen."
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't get offended. She's just like,
It's awesome.
"Got it." And she'll say to me,
She knows
"Thank you
you.
for letting me know what you're looking for,"
She knows
because
your heart.
she can tell me all the time, "Well, you're feeling this way because of this, and you're doing that's because of this," and I'm looking at her like, I don't want to hear why.
Mm-hmm.
Just listen to me.
Mhm.
And we have almost like a knowing and an agreement of, you get to show up how you want to show up, and I get to show up how I want to show up. But we know each other so much. We've been like the goofiest times, the best, and we've had
Yeah.
bad times. But the point is that we never give up on each other,
Yeah.
and we know each other so well. Like, that's the kind of friendships I want. And that is, comes to family too, or an intimate relationship.
Yeah.
Like, why does it have to all be so different?
Mm-hmm.
Family, you go through hard times, you go through disagreements. But if you're both on the same page of understanding each other and forgiving each other for the times that you lack intention, or maybe you're having a bad day, it's like, you know that you're human.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's when, and you can get through that love. Like, it's like, you hurt me, yes, but I can still love you. I still
Yeah.
love you because I know you so well that you weren't meaning to hurt me. I think when it's hard to when you know to let go is when you feel that disconnect from that person and you know it's not genuine.
Mm-hmm.
You know it.
And they're aware
you know
too.
It. You know what they're aware. You know that it's like they're not hearing you. They're not saying, "I'm sorry that you felt that way by me doing this." It's like, if they're trying to prove their point to you, and it's not about love. It's not
Yeah.
about, you're just like, "Okay, I see you for what it is. You're not in this relationship the way that I am, so I can love you and let you go."
You'll almost feel it, because you'll feel like you're going crazy. Because you're like,
Yeah.
wait, I've told you this 10 times and you're
Yeah.
still doing the same thing that's hurting me.
Yeah.
That should tell you,
Mhm.
like, they don't care that they're hurting you really.
It's not really about you. It's
Yeah.
about them.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have relationships in my life because I don't make it about me. I make it about me when I'm being hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to even use the term like, you're making it about you, I'm making it about me. Like, can we just
But I
wipe
think
that
there's-
out?
There's something good there where it's like, you do need to look out for yourself. You
Right.
can't just allow people to walk all over you and treat you
No.
like crap.
But I think it's that, why are you even saying that when we're in a family or a friendship or a relationship? It's about it's about each other.
Yeah, it's about the
So it's not a tit for
relationship as a
tat.
whole.
It's not a, "I'm right, you're wrong." It's, I hear what you're saying and I love you so much that I don't want to do that to you.
Yeah.
So I didn't recognize I was even doing that. So thank you for pointing that out. That's
Yeah.
when you know you can love that person, because
Yeah.
you know that they're doing their best to understand you. They're not
Yes.
just staying firm and like, "I'm going to stay here and I'm not changing." You know what I'm saying? There's a difference.
There's been a person I love before that brought something to me, and we talked about this before too, but it's like, if it's brought in a bad way, I'm not going to react well, or if I'm hungry, if I haven't slept, or if anything. So it's such a tough thing. And I think it just requires that's why you don't just walk away immediately. You go like, I want to sit in this for a while because this means something to me, or maybe it doesn't, and you walk away. But if you go like, this means something to me, I want to figure this out and figure out how to communicate, figure out how to talk, figure out how to forgive and move past this. But it can be really hard.
Can I ask you a question? Because I think this is really, because my brain thinks different. I'll tell you how my brain thinks. My brain thinks, if you love somebody, it doesn't matter if I'm hungry. It doesn't matter if I'm tired. It doesn't matter anything. My intention is always to understand you. That's my intention. I set that intention in the beginning of a relationship, and I'm trying to understand why you're doing what you're doing. But there comes a point where I'm like, if I can't even tell you this is what I need and this is what's happening, and you don't have that same intention to hear me because you're hungry, you're tired, or whatever, I don't understand that.
I think you can have an intention.
Really I'm not even kidding you. Like, I don't understand that.
My intention is to eat healthy.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I don't like slide into Popeyes every now and then. You know what I mean? Like, you can have an intention to still not be perfect in that intention. So I think, the intention would, like if I go into a relationship, it's like, oh my gosh, how do we make sure this stays about just us as a unit growing and loving and serving each other? But then there's times where it's like, maybe you've both been super busy at work. You haven't been taking the time to connect. One of you has been sick. The car broke down. You got to go get it fixed. There's money struggles. And then all of a sudden that tension becomes a little bit less like not important, but like it's not really at the front of your mind. Right. And so when something's brought up to you. So yeah, I agree. Like, intention is that's a beautiful intention to have. It's like when you bring something to me, it's like my only intention is to understand it so that I can meet that need that you have, and we can grow in our relationship. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, intention can sometimes get
And I appreciate you saying that, because you just named a gazillion things of why things get in the way. And I hear you, and it's like my brain was like, well, you don't have work. You don't have stress, Nicole. You don't have all these other things getting in the way that could cause that harm. Yeah. So it is really easy for me to think the way that I am.
Yes, 100%.
And so that would be really ignorant of me to not understand that, just like, I'm in my life, right? Yeah. And we're having this honest conversation. So I really appreciate you bringing that up, because I think sometimes when we live in our own lifestyles, it's hard for us if we're not reminded, oh, this other world goes on too.
That totally exists. Yeah.
So I appreciate you being honest.
Yeah. And I know that, like, and that's a beautiful awareness in you too, to say like, oh, my life doesn't look like everyone else's, and maybe that's something I'm just like missing. Yeah. An awareness type thing. But I mean, we're all in, I think, the intention of knowing, loving, understanding, and helping, serving together is like so beautiful. I just for myself, I'm not perfect in that, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not either. But I do know, if somebody hurt me in my life, there is something within me that I don't hold it against them. The only way that I know that I hold it against them is if somebody's having a conversation about that person, and I have this angst in me, and I'm like, where did that come from? Oh, I guess I'm still holding on to something. Yeah. So it's an awareness in myself of like, oh, I am still holding on to something. What am I holding on to? Because I can say to myself, I can say to the people, like, I hold no ill will. I don't whatever. And there is truth in that. Because I don't want to choose to hold something against somebody that they're not aware of. Yeah. I can choose not to be around that person. I can choose to love them from afar. Yeah. I can send them off in love, but I don't need to associate with them every day.
But you're saying you don't usually have like hard feelings towards someone even if they hurt you? How do you do that? I guess one question I had too is like, how do you heal from pain when someone has hurt you? Like, how do you let go of that? If it's like, I mean,
because I know we're all human.
Yeah.
I know we're all human, and I know that I can't hold something against somebody that they're not capable of. Okay, let me not say capable. They're not being intentional about self-awareness. I know that I've done and read a lot of books. I know that I've done the work. You have to do the work. It doesn't just like I woke up one day and be like, I forgive the world. Like, it's not like that. It's something within me that has so much compassion to say, I understand that we're not on this page anymore, or a family member, we're not, like, I hurt you and you're holding on to it. But I can't hold on to something like that. Like, I make sure that I do the job that, like, I make sure that I have the conversation.
You take the responsibility.
I take the accountability and the responsibility, but I can't do that every day. Yeah. And that person might have to forgive me every day or choose whatever they want. But I don't choose to hold any ill will towards anybody because I'm not doing it. What's the point? Like
Yeah.
I'm hurting myself.
Yeah.
I just had a conversation with a friend of mine who is pretty upset about what somebody did to them. And I said, let it go. You're giving them more power by you being upset about it. And they don't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said,
It's only affecting you.
And they were like, no, I'm not. And I said, what is it benefiting you? Look at your attitude. Look at you're holding on to this. You're holding back. You're spending so much energy being upset over something that you can't change. It's already happened. Let life unfold for them the way that it is. If they treated you poorly, it will come back to them. Watch. It will. You just got to let it go and release it. He texted me later on. He was like, fine, I listened to your words and I'm letting it go. And he said, the minute I let it go, he said, this happened. He's like, what in the world, Nicole? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm just saying that when you release the power that you give, you release the power that somebody else has over you because of what they did what you feel they did was wrong, you can't change it.
Yeah.
So I guess the answer to that is I can't change how people hurt me. I can change how I perceive the hurt. I can change how I react to the hurt. I'm not going to carry it with me because it's not going to help me.
It's only hurting you.
Because
it's your responsibility to heal that. It's our responsibility to heal ourselves, right? And if there's pain, whether it was caused by you, someone else, whatever it is, it's your responsibility to work through that. And then the only one that can benefit from you working through that is you.
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah.
You always have to come back to you.
Yeah.
If somebody else is not going to apologize because they hurt you, apologize in your own mind.
Yeah.
I would be like, they apologized to me. I kind of visualize them apologizing to me. Okay, they apologized to me. And that's good. That's good enough for me. I don't need to have somebody come and beg for, I'm not that person. I'm I send you off in love. And that for me it works for me. It's just, I don't know. I just don't choose to hold anybody accountable for something that they can't be aware of or they're not choosing to be aware of. That's not fair.
Yeah.
That's just wasted energy for me.
100%.
So, choose to love and forgive the people, choose to, people who hurt you, who you expect to still stay in your life. Work on forgiving them. You have to forgive them every day if you want them in your life. If you don't want them in your life, release them.
Yeah.
And let them go and allow them to be who they want to be because they're on their own journey. Yeah. They're not responsible for you in your journey. You're responsible for your own journey. You're responsible for your journey. I'm responsible for mine. We give our power away to everybody else. They should be doing something for us. And no, my stomach's growling. Maybe it's the coffee. But when you start to look in the mirror at your own stuff, it's a really beautiful, peaceful place to be in within yourself because
if you've done the
I'm
work,
in charge of me.
Yeah.
Nobody else is in charge of me. And if you don't want to apologize to me, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I can move on.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to sit here over and over and over again and sit in the pain that you didn't apologize to me. You didn't apologize to me.
Yeah.
And it's I don't think you're capable of apologizing to me because you're just not there. So it's expecting somebody to pay you money that they don't have.
Yeah.
But you're going to stay in it. They owe me money. I'm going to stick to it. But they're broke. They can't afford to pay you back.
Yeah.
So release them of the debt.
Yeah.
Release them of it.
And that releases you of so much.
You don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah. You just go, whoa, that mental energy could be spent
getting
other money over here somewhere else.
You're gonna go make it somewhere else because I do believe in karma that way. It's you release people of what they can't give you and you release them of the pressure that they're already feeling. Well, I would think that people would feel bad if they owe you money.
Yeah.
It's just a normal feeling to feel bad for owing somebody money.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good. I don't care what anybody says.
You.
Whatever people want to play. But I do feel if I owed somebody money and I couldn't pay them back, I'd be living in stress every day.
Yes.
And if some person released me because they know that I can't pay them back, I'm like, what a gift.
Yeah.
Even though I'm like, but I want to pay you back.
Yeah.
Because it's an honor thing, right? I wouldn't be honoring myself. I wouldn't feel good about taking money or accepting money unless it was a gift.
Yeah.
And that would be sometimes hard too, right?
Yeah. So there's healing from pain. You know, you can like go, I forgive this person, I'm healing. I think for me, sometimes I can like forgive someone, but then, okay, maybe this would be like in context of like a romantic relationship, but if anyone hurts you, how do you, or maybe this is a part of the healing, is like, how do you exercise and practice self-love in the face of hurt? So someone's just like crapped all over you. They've just like absolutely destroyed you. They said they don't want to be with you. They said they don't want to, you know, run a business with you.
What's crapped all over you? What's your definition?
They just hurt you. They've just they've disrespected you. They've not honored you. Doesn't matter. Say that's happened and you're moving on, whether it's a business partnership, a relationship, a friendship, and you go like, it's time to move on. Once you step out of that, your self-esteem can be quite low.
Okay.
How do you continue to like love yourself and build back that self-esteem, which is going to help with forgiveness, which is going to help with building trust and connection again with other people? Like, how do you love? Because we've been saying this whole podcast, it all comes back to you.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, all this pain has happened, this hurt has happened. It's coming back to you and you're going, how do I love myself, heal myself after this person just like treated me horrible? Like my self-worth. I know for me, you know, at times in a relationship, when a relationship ends, my self-worth is kind of low because I've just had someone not value who I am and hurt me quite badly in the process. And so.
This is a question.
Is it a question?
Are you asking me a question? Because I'm kind of giddy right now. I'm like, I'm listening.
I
really want to talk.
How do you exercise and how do you practice self-love?
I want you to go back to what you first asked me.
Face of hurt. That is what I said.
I want to hear it again from you.
How do you exercise and practice self-love in the face of being hurt and disrespected?
Okay. My first question is why did you allow somebody to hurt you and disrespect you? That would show me that you are not in a place where you respect yourself and you know how to set a boundary.
Yeah.
Because if you're giving your power up to somebody else to hurt you, not saying, and how can I explain this? I'm not saying that people don't hurt you and that's not valid, not a valid feeling, because people hurt me, right? Like I understand that. But where in there am I taking responsibility to say no more?
Yeah.
Once you say no more, you bring your power back to you.
Yeah.
And that person can no longer hurt you. And then you see that person as, they hurt me. They disrespected me.
Yeah.
Where in there do I disrespect myself where they didn't see my value?
Yeah. I guess like I get that, but like that answer is very logical.
But it's true.
And it's true. It doesn't mean it's not true, but when you're in that space and you're in the hurt and you have been disrespected because you did, weren't respecting yourself enough and let that person hurt you, you're not necessarily in the place to think that way. You're not necessarily in the place to go like, oh, I just need to respect myself more and everything. You know what I mean? Like that's the logical answer. What are some practices you can do to get back to like, oh, wait.
Are you saying like you want to, like, I would suggest you to feel through it then.
Yeah.
My point would be like to self-love would be to feel it, to say, I would go and I journal a lot, right? Like throughout the day, I'm like, I get a feeling, excuse me, and I'll go write it down.
Yeah.
Just so I can get it out of me.
Yeah.
And then I'll sit in it a little bit and then I'll process it in my head.
Yeah.
I've learned to do that. I've learned to do that over time by learning who I want in my life and how I want to be treated. And at the end of the day, it's my responsibility to accept treatment from other people. But if I'm not treating myself that way, nobody else is going to treat me that way unless they see value in me or they have value in themselves. And
you kind of showed them
to have value in me.
What you're willing to accept.
Right.
Yeah.
So it would come back to me. But if your point of like, how do you get through that feeling if you don't know? You cry. You feel the pain. Like this hurts. This sucks. I can't believe that person did that. I can't believe. Like have a pity party for I would say to myself, I'm giving myself 5 minutes to have a pity party and then I'm done. because
Yeah.
nobody ever will show up at a pity party.
Yeah.
Nobody has time for pity. You get to feel it. You get to recognize it. And I feel like that's when you don't store that in your body, but you do give it attention by saying, that's real to me.
Mm-hmm.
It feels,
But don't stay in that place.
it just sucks.
Yeah.
It just feels like, gosh, I'm just really lonely, or I'm really this, or you don't see that in me. And then all of a sudden I feel that with my heart, and then my mind gets to process and react. That's how I would say it. Feel it this way, feel it, give it whatever names that you need it, and then move it to the mind, and then react with logic. And because I think sometimes when we react with feeling so much, it gets misunderstood by the wrong person. If you said to me, Nicole, you hurt me, or by doing this, ABC. Because I am heart and I'm not mind, I would say to you, I'm really sorry. What did I say that hurt you? I didn't recognize that I was doing that. Thank you for bringing that up to me. I'm really sorry. That wasn't my intention. I don't have an excuse. That's just, I'm really sorry that I did that. That would see you. I would hear you. Validate your feelings, and then you move on. If you're with somebody that is constantly trying to say, no, I didn't do that.
Yeah, it's not.
Then we're probably not on the same page of heart to heart. We're probably mind to heart.
Yeah.
And it's never going to work. So that's when I'm saying.
And when you recognize it, you have to just accept it and go like, I'm not going to get
what I'm looking for that person. And that's when you let go.
Yeah.
And you allow that person to be in this space. And you just know that's not for me.
Yeah.
And that's when you get to say to yourself, I'm going to take my power. I'm not going to give it to you. I'm not going to sit in it. I'm not going to ruminate over and over with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, okay, you know what, Nicole? That's not a person for you, because your heart, your response to somebody if they're hurting is heart. I recognize you. I'm not defensive. I'm not going to justify my ways. Now, I haven't always been like this. Somebody had to point it out to me. And I was like, oh, I didn't even recognize it. But I was willing and a participant to learn and to do better, because you care about somebody.
Yes.
That's how you know when you care about somebody and you stop caring about yourself before the other person.
Yeah.
And
I think we talk about these things like, how do you do this? And you go like, oh, well, you just use logic, and I think something you would even agree with is like, this doesn't happen in a day or 2 days.
No.
Sometimes there's a process of healing and moving past hurt that someone caused you that might take a year.
Like I said, you have to forgive every day. Sometimes, I mean, if I'm in that space of, but you have to know yourself and what you need, and you have to take time to be with yourself.
Yeah.
And I think in our society today, people are so busy.
Yeah.
Being something else. Like, I got to be this. I got to be an influencer. I got to be that. They're so busy being something else.
Yeah.
And
they're being what they think people expect of them, or what they think might make money, or what might gain popularity.
And some people can say, well, Nicole, like, I have a job and I have this and that and whatever. Well, I raised 5 children, and I would wake up extra early to do the things for myself that I needed to do. Anybody can find an excuse for not spending time with themselves.
Self-love can look very different for people, and it can look different in different stages of grief or healing from pain someone might have caused you.
Yeah.
I think
people use excuses.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be harsh here.
No.
But I'm like,
we all do.
Like, I'm not going to pity myself for something that I'm not doing for myself.
Yeah.
I have to do for me.
Yeah.
And if I'm not getting I couldn't work out for a month. It's driving me nuts. But I went to go, what can I do? Because my arm has been injured. I could do legs. I can do abs. I can walk.
Yeah.
So you go do those things. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I can move my arm. I can do this.
Now I can do that
Now
again.
I can do that. And I'm like, what is the lesson in it? Well, the lesson is that when you don't have a functioning everything, what am I still grateful for?
Yeah.
Am I still grateful, or am I having a pity party?
Yeah.
and I know that kind of goes off what we're talking about here, but
It's all
it's all
self-love though.
intertwined, you know, it's
Like,
self-love.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
think we look at self-love and the context we're talking about is like self-love in the face of hurt. And it's like the idea would be moving past that hurt and still loving yourself. But like at times that self-love might look like crying or screaming into
Yeah.
a pillow or like whatever. It doesn't have to look like this beautiful journey of like,
No, it's not
I'm self-love
fluffy.
and hurt.
It's
It's
a
like there is
mess.
like messy
It's a
there too. Yeah.
mess.
And
Yeah.
allowing yourself that and don't judge yourself and
Yeah.
just go like, this is what I feel like I need in order to like put myself first again and
Whatever's
move
showing up,
past the hurt.
allow it to happen. Like if
Yeah.
I'm driving and I'm listening to a song and I feel the tears, I just cry.
Yeah.
I don't really give it, I don't go, I shouldn't be crying right now. I got to go to an appointment and I don't want to see. I just let it happen because whatever's coming up needs a release to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still getting to know myself every day. It's a journey. It's
Yeah.
not, and it's something that I choose to do because it's important for me and how I show up in the world.
Yeah.
That's important to me. Maybe it's
Yes.
not important to everybody, but it's important to me.
Yep.
And
yeah. And
and
pay attention to that.
yeah, and it doesn't mean that I have to be perfect in it. It just means that I'm curious about me.
Yeah.
I'm curious about how can I be better? I'm
Yeah.
curious about how can I understand people better?
Yeah.
I'm curious about like who am I allowing in my life that's not really bringing happiness and joy and why? And where do I fit in that?
Why am I allowing that?
Why am
Yeah.
I allowing that to happen? And I'm not going to give permission to that anymore. I'm going to give permission to finding the things that make me happy and joyful.
Yeah.
And be around those people that bring that back and reciprocate. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's not a selfish thing. It's just
No.
know your people.
Yeah, and it's taking care of yourself in the same way you would feed yourself food that fuels you, the same way you would, work out because it's going to build muscle and you're going to be stronger and you're going to be able to go. And I love it. I love the topic of loving people who hurt us because it's easy to love those that are just perfect. Grandma. It's easy to love grandma. It's easy to love dad. Dad's the coolest. It's easy to love you. It's easy. But what about the people that like aren't great to us? And that's like where, loving someone like your mother or your father, just anyone you love is easy. But like, how much is there to learn in loving people who hurt you?
I think I think there's so much to it, right? Because I want to say parents, because they're your parents, they're your family, right? And we hold them at a different standard, I think, just naturally because they're our family.
Yeah.
But they do come and go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Family does, like a lot of people just leave in families and they don't care,
Yeah.
I think that the way we think about family is, oh my gosh, we have to stay bonded. We're a family, and I do believe that.
If that person's hurting you.
Yeah.
then-
And I think it's even hurts worse because it's like, well, you're my family member. Like you're supposed to love me unconditionally no matter what, because we're blood. But sometimes it doesn't work that way. And you just butt heads and you're not really good for each other, know? But I had, for me, I had conversations with both my parents at different times before my dad passed. And I just spoke to him and I told him where I felt hurt by him as a child. And I didn't blame him. I said, I understand why you did what you did. I understand that you weren't capable. I understand that you didn't do the work to even recognize what you were doing. So I can't blame you for something you weren't aware of. I know you loved me. I can remember the times feeling loved by you, and that's what I will carry. It is so healing to be in that space.
Yes.
Because it would be, now he's passed, and it's like I'd be holding an expectation of a ghost that can't do anything for me, right?
Yeah.
And a mother who's 82 who she made the Thanksgiving meal all of herself. Like she's a go-getter. She's, she's stubborn. She paints she colors her hair purple. I mean, she's her own unique human being as an 82, and she doesn't look 82, and you'd never know she was 82. But I had conversations with her too. Like it was really hurtful growing up this way, or it was really hurtful when you made that decision to do that. I don't know if you're aware of that, Mom, that it put me in that situation, and it didn't feel good. And she said to me, I'm so sorry I just didn't know. Like, I was going through my own stuff, Nicole, and I'm sorry I wasn't a good mother at that time. And and that's all you need. You
Yeah.
need to be heard.
Whether you got a sorry or not, would you have just been happy with being able to say that
Yeah.
to her?
But I think too, how I express myself is also healing. If I've projected myself on people and it's not good, like I don't even feel good about it. I'm like, you did it. And that's an old version of me, right? The new version of me is, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to accept that in my life anymore.
Yeah.
I know my value today.
Yeah.
And I probably didn't know my value, so I allowed it to happen. And I'm not saying this as with a mother and child, like that's, that's not what I'm saying, because I didn't know that until I got older, but to talk about the hurt and the pain. But I'm saying, I guess I'll move forward into relationships or friendships to, like, in the situation of, I'm in control of what I allow in my life. I'm in control of how I react. I'm in control of how I talk to somebody and say, hey, I'm really hurting here. I might not always get it right, but if a person knows me so well and loves me, there's space and room in between where there's understanding.
Yeah.
It's not black and white. It's not this. It's not that. It's, you know your people. You know who people, like, who cares about you by how they respond to you. If you're talking in a very, like this.
Yeah.
There's no need to yell. There's no need to get defensive. It's, I'm telling you how I feel.
Simple communication.
But you know how people feel about themselves by how they react.
Mm-hmm.
They say that your first reaction isn't your true self. That's your trauma self. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So if I'm not in trauma anymore, if I'm not in my headspace of trauma, I'm going to react very calmly.
Yeah.
Because my emotional system is regulated.
Yeah.
I don't feel threatened. I don't feel triggered. I don't feel something, I don't feel like something's coming at me, fight and flight. I'm like, I'm safe in my own self. I'm safe in my own world. I'm able to articulate what I need. And then when I do that, if that person is not able to reciprocate that or hear me, then they're in their stuff.
That's
and I
their
get
thing.
to let it go.
Yeah.
And just be like,
So
I'm not
good.
responsible for that.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, I guess it does, loving people who hurt you all does come back to knowing yourself, because it's talking about setting boundaries. You got to know yourself, set boundaries, empathy, perspective taking, self-love in the face of hurt, and then rebuilding trust and connection. I think those are some of our major points we touched on today. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Super fun. Love this conversation.
Yeah, me too. I was like, yes.
Yeah, loving people who hurt you.
Love people
Not
who
the
hurt you,
easiest,
and
but
let go of
so
the
much
ones
growth.
that hurt you, that you no longer want love from, or you want to, you send off in love. So
Yeah, send them off.
Yeah, know your boundaries and know yourself well.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So good.
Cool.
That's it.